2 go.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Thursday edition of Pro Line. Jim Feist is here. I'm Dave Koken. Funny to talk about is we've got a Thursday night football game in the NFL between division rivals. We've got UNLV off its first loss of the year. We'll talk about that in a moment. I won another max play last night at Western Kentucky. Very easy winner in college basketball. 8-1 in the last 9 of those. My other play last night lost Bowling Green at a huge lead early against San Jose, but they did not cover the spread in that win. But I'll take the result. No complaints there. I've got 2 college basketball games on the website right now. I've got an NHL play that I added this morning and a free play in the NBA that we'll get to in a little bit. Jim, I know you've got a play on tonight's NFL matchup between the Redskins and Cowboys.
I do, Dave. Obviously this is an NFC East game, and we know that the Philadelphia... If Dallas loses tonight, the Philadelphia Eagles clinch the NFC East, which is no surprise to anybody that's been watching the sport, because the Giants are, they've crapped out for the season. Dallas is a mess. And Washington is playing hard, but they have a big, long list of injuries as well. But they have been playing hard and playing fairly well most of the time. But it's the Eagles that are going to take this division, and barring injuries, they might do pretty well in the playoffs. This game opened Dallas 1.5 and 44, and it's now Washington 1.5 and 47.5. Now, that's an interesting move. You got a 3.5 point line move on the total, and it crossed 0, so you got a 3 point line move on the game as well. I can understand the move to Washington because of what I just said about Dallas, but what I don't understand, Dallas hasn't scored over 10 points in 3 straight games. If this game is going to go over, if they score 20, I'm talking about Dallas, Washington's going to have to score 28 to get over the number. I don't quite understand this much of a line movement on the total when you have one team that's having such a hard time scoring. I'm not quite buying into it. I'm not saying I definitely wouldn't chase the over unless I figured out there was some way Dallas is going to start scoring more points. And I'm not sure with that offensive line problem, running back problem, Dak hasn't been sharp at all, where that's going to come from. But I do respect line movements. Not always, but when you have a 3.5 point line movement on a total like that, I have to say, okay, where's that coming from, and why are they doing it? What do they see that isn't obvious to everybody else, and wasn't obvious to the odds maker who made the number 44? So that's kind of the way I'm looking at it. It's a big game. It's all these games are big, even if you're not going to make the playoffs, because all these players are playing for their jobs. Not everybody's guaranteed contracts, and not everybody's guaranteed a position on the team next year. So all these guys are going to come to play. They may not have the passion that they would otherwise if they were playing for a playoff spot or a division crown, but they're going to come to play because they want to save their jobs. And there's guys, that are always on the edge of losing their position and ending up working at a grocery store bagging groceries. So I know they're all coming to play. The best quarterback on the field right now is Kirk Cousins, but they have a million injuries, and so does Dallas.
All right, well, we'll see how it plays out. And again, for those of you who want Jim's selection of the game, go to jimfeist.com or vegasportsmasters.com and get to play. UNLV lost last night. I don't know if you watched it, Jim. Absolutely horrible call. Late in the game, they called a foul on Mooring for a block, which just wasn't. He was set. It was a charge all the way, and it actually did cost UNLV the game if you want to isolate on that one play. Rebels did not play well last night. They shot poorly. They had problems with ball security, but when you can play at that level, and they didn't play well, and still have what probably should have been a chance to win the game on the road, that's a good sign. So things are looking pretty good for the running Rebels. And they've got Arizona coming up, which is going to be interesting. They've also got a soft game on their schedule. But, good reasons, lots of reasons for the locals to be optimistic about the Running Rebels. And when UNLV plays well, they get attention outside of Las Vegas as well.
You know, Dave, that was a game, looking at it yesterday, and both sides of the game were favored by one at any point in the day. And there was a 2 out there as well. But, you know, that was a contrast in styles.
Oh, yeah.
Rebels like to do what they do, run. And very quick tempo. And the other side of it is Northern Iowa doesn't like to do that at all. They play good defense. They run a very slow pace. So it's a contrast in styles. And for the Rebels to go on the road, their first road game, and play competitively in that spot against a team that really doesn't fit their mold, I was kind of impressed with that. I know I did not watch the game, but you know, it kind of played out the way I expected it to play. I figured it was going to be close. It was going to be tight. Ends up that way. It goes into overtime. So I'm impressed with them.
Jim, the fallout continues from the Manning benching. That the owner of the team admits it should have been handled differently, which is a no-brainer. Philip Rivers chimed in and called it pathetic. I agree. I mean, I don't know that, I've been around a long time, and so have you. I don't know that the Giants, who have been a very good organization over the years in terms of how they run things, this was probably one of the worst moments in their franchise history.
Yeah, it's an embarrassment. It's an embarrassment to that franchise. It's an embarrassment to the people that made this decision. And it's an embarrassment to the league. And the league's taken a lot of shots this year anyway, with the protests and everything else, and the declining ratings, and et cetera, and all that stuff. And then, of course, there's some very weak quarterback play in the league, and offensive line play has been horrible, which has led to the poor quarterback play. So there's a lot of, this is a down year in quality for the NFL. And that move by 2 guys that really should be fired. So they're benching somebody that shouldn't be benched, and saying, okay, we're going to take a look at what we have. And then they put Geno Smith in. And I'm not I mean, the kid was good in college, but he's really been a bust in the pros. Geno Smith is not a franchise quarterback for any team in the league. And they have a guy on the bench that they drafted. If you're going to start him, I can say, okay, they're out of it. They're 2-9. They're not going anywhere, and they want to take a look at this other guy. And they did offer Eli, saying, okay, you can start the game, keep your streak going, but you're not going to finish the game. Eli opted out of that. But, you know, at some point in time, it is a business, and you have to see what you have. And if you don't have anybody on the bench that can be your quarterback in the future, then you probably need to take a look at the new guys. But not Geno. Geno is he's a backup at best. And you got to take a look at the guy you drafted. But I don't know what they're doing there, but I think it's a failed organization. Starts at the top, failed ownership, failed management. Reese and McAdoo both need to be fired. They needed to be fired years ago. So it's a mess. I agree with the pathetic label that Rivers put on it. Kurt Warner. Everybody's come out and basically said the same thing. It's a bad organization right now, and it's a shame because they have been, one of the better organizations in football for a long time. So they've really put themselves in a bad situation, and the league, of course, is embarrassed again, which is what 2017 has been for them.
NBA, Jim, let's talk a little bit about the Cavaliers and Hawks. They play tonight. Cleveland's a 7-point favorite. When you're looking at betting on an elite team in the NBA, you have to know going in you're going to pay a premium. The lines are a little bit higher on them for obvious reasons. So I look for spots as far as the good teams are concerned, and I think we've got one tonight for Cleveland. First of all, they bet the Hawks once this year, and Atlanta's a really bad team. Cleveland lost that game, so you would think they'll be focused from that standpoint. But the thing that really stands out to me here is LeBron James is coming off the first ejection of his entire NBA career. He really lost the other night, got extremely upset. I think two things will happen off that. One, I would not be surprised if LeBron gets some calls tonight. And secondly, I think he's going to take the court angry. And when he's angry, I don't want to be against the Cavaliers. I think this is one of those spots where Cleveland's worth a bet. And I'm going to take the Cavaliers -7 tonight. And that's one of the 4 plays I've got on this Thursday night. I've got 2 college basketball plays. I've got 1 NHL play, plus the Cavaliers. You can get the other 3, all at very reasonable rates at JimFights.com or VegasSportsMasters.com. And Jim, I know you've got a good side tonight in the NFL and some great stuff coming up this weekend.
I got college football. I posted a lot for college football for Friday and Saturday. I've got pro games up for Sunday. I have a college basketball game up right now, and I most likely will be adding 1 or 2 as the day goes on. I agree with your take on the Cavaliers. The Hawks are not a great team, and the Cavaliers have the revenge from the home loss to them. And LeBron, of course, is the man when he wants to be the man. And that's he is going to be pissed off after being ejected. But one other thing about that game I will tell you is that Cleveland on the road this year against Eastern teams, I think, are undefeated. And that's both straight up and against the spread. And
Well, let's see if they come up with a good performance tonight. I hope they do. In the meantime, we'll get things set up for the weekend. Got some huge games in college football. It's championship weekend, so we'll take a look at those tomorrow. I think that's it for me, Jim.
I agree, Dave. This is going to be a big weekend. I'm excited. It's Thursday. Looking forward to the whole weekend. We got some winners up tonight. We're going to have winners up for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, and every day of the week because we have college and pro basketball as well now. So stay tuned. Keep coming back. And don't forget to visit the website, JimFeist.com or VegasSportsMasters.com. Thank you, Dave.
See you, Jim.